Hey there, everyone. Mazarok here, and today I want to talk about, do a little state of the game here for affixes in Mythic Plus. Things that I would just like to see change, different, whatever have you not. But I've got a few ideas and things that I kind of just want to run by the community and, see what you guys think and all that fun stuff. Before we get started, though, please like, comment, subscribe. Always flabbergasted by all of the support. Thank you so much. It goes such a long way. There's a Twitch link down below if you want to watch me stream, or if you want to talk about anything here. You can also hit me up on the community Discord. You can do that. And there is my Patreon. If you wish to support me more directly, you can do that. There's going to be a community raid night. It's going to have prizes, trivia, transmog competition, lots of fun stuff. There's going to be a monthly D&D night raffle. If any of those are, if you just wish to support me, you can do that as well. So, while we get started, so why am I talking about the affix system right now? Well, the main thing I want to talk about the affix system right now is because, to me, tyrannical is kind of an uninteresting affix. To be 100% honest with you, literally all it does is make the game kind of go a little bit longer. You give you a tougher boss fight just because it hits harder and has more mechanics, which kind of isn't fun. Like, it just screams blah. And I would like to see tyrannical kind of get swapped around and not be what it is. I'm fine with fortified because if we're thinking about Mythic Plus, what's the funnest part of Mythic Plus? Not many people are going, oh, the bosses in Mythic Plus dungeons are my jam, dude. I love it. No, man, it's pulling a bunch of mobs, like chain pulling, just doing a lot of damage. That's a big reason why a lot of us play Mythic Plus. It's really, really fun just going in there. If you're a tank, going in, see if you can survive as many pulls as you can, doing things right in that regard. And that is just kind of where I personally find my most amount of enjoyment in Mythic Plus is, trash. It's really it. Trash is fun. So I think fortified is fine to give them increased health and make them do a little bit more damage and make you think twice about chain pulling or what you can and things like that. I think where the affix kind of lacks out is on the tyrannical, right? So what could they do to swap tyrannical? Well, I have heard some stuff, and I kind of agree with it, where instead of having a tyrannical affix, the tyrannical affix could be, or this could just be on mythic difficulty or on tyrannical weeks. You could have it could be called a tyrannical affix or whatever have you not, but bosses have an extra mechanic. No extra health, don't hit extra harder, but they have some sort of extra mechanic that you have to deal with. You don't have to deal with it every week. It's just something you have to deal with every once in a while, and I think that's fairly interesting. But one of the things that I also want to talk about is not just the tyrannical affix itself. Honestly, I think that could get changed around, and I think it really does. And I have discussed that. But let's discuss the other affixes and what they've done with seasonal affixes and what I think they could learn from seasonal affixes for the regular ones. I know I'm saying affixes a lot. I'm sorry. Because one of the things they've done with the seasonal is really trying to apply some sort of kiss curse, right? If you get you have the chance to get one shot with the slam that comes down, especially at higher levels. It's not, most DPS anyway, or healers are going to just straight up get cranked by it. And it's something that you have to deal with, but by killing it, you gain the kiss portion of it, which is reduced cooldowns. If you kill Vi, you get haste, whatever have you not, right? That's kind of the idea. But what if we apply this to just your regular affixes that rotate through? And this is what I'm thinking. So, for example, for Necrotic is definitely one that everyone hates. Now, it has been nerfed and is a whole lot better now than it's ever been. I straight up have to admit that. But what if during Necrotic weeks, you would have the curse of Necrotic, but any enemy that is capable of giving you Necrotic, minus bosses, because, Necrotic's really a trash affix more than it is a boss affix, would actually be, what's the word I'm looking for? You would actually be able to slow them, because there's a lot of elite enemies in the game where they are not, they're just not susceptible to CC or anything like that. Sorry about the change on my screen right now. I had updated my bone shield Weekora, and it got super big. I needed to change that. It was driving me up the wall at the time. But what if you would be able to kind of slow? Now, I'm not saying stun big mob enemies, but what if slowing these enemies now became possible for that 1 week only while that affix was up and rolling, right? It would allow tanks that don't have a lot of kiting capabilities to gain kiting capabilities and would change how you pull, right? Because you're like, okay, wait. During Necrotic, this guy here, and I'm going to go with like the Necropolis guy up top because there's Necrotic Wake on the screen. What if they are able to be slowed? How do we pull a little bit differently here, right? What if they could be snared? Not necessarily stunned, just whatever. Just the little thing of they can now be slowed. How do we change that pull? And it starts changing how you view everything. One of the ones would be like quaking. I'm just spitballing some ideas here. Nothing I'm saying is, I want this in game, right? This is purely subjective, purely opinionated. But what if, like, for example, for quaking, you could stand on top of one of your friends and group silence the same way and lock out the mobs, same as yourself. It would make you want to watch how much damage you're taking, but maybe take some damage and plan some of that around for a group lock, for a group silence or a group lockout of that specific class. It could act the exact same way as it does for casters and stuff now, and it would make Melee want to think about, do you want to stack? How much do you want to stack? Are we stacking? And kind of really change the way you pull, and maybe make you want to pull a little bit bigger on quaking. Not that quaking really is an affix that you want to pull less on, but you always try and spread. But what if, it would silence as well? Let's take Explosive. Now, Explosive has a very good one already kind of built in from Season 2, where it was an interaction with the bolstering power that you got off the Tormentor. So whenever you killed an enemy, you gained a 3% stacking damage buff, that up to 15% if I'm not mistaken, and it interacted with Explosive. Okay, well, one of the problems, especially with pugs, is nobody wants to get explosives. But if it gave a bolstering buff, let's say 2%, stacking up to 10% or 12% or whatever it is, there's no DPS in the game that's going to say, hey, I want to do less damage. You're going to start seeing everybody do all of the things, right? They're all going to want to, get the explosives. They're all going to want to make sure that they're gotten because they don't want that damage buff falling off. And it really gives an incentive for players to do it, but if it goes off, it still deals that, that damage, which, you don't want to pull too big because explosive is pretty crazy, but if you can get a good damage buff from pulling big and you have people dealing with explosives, that would be a lot of fun too, right? Those are just some kind of things that, could work out. I don't know what you could do with every single affix. You could make it so maybe, I don't know, volcanic, although it spawns under players, could affect the enemies as well. So if the tank, so this could become a little bit more of a tank thing, where what would happen is the tank could drag the mobs over a known volcano if they're, good and quick enough, and shoot them up in the air. I think that was also a torment, if I'm not mistaken, where it kind of gave that was a torment power as well, and that was something that was a lot of fun as a torment power, but would only literally be available on volcanic weeks, which would fundamentally change the way that you think about approaching a dungeon week after week if you gained one of these Kiss Curses. For example, on Raging, if you soothe a raging mob, you could get a raging buff for a little while or something. Maybe not something as much, but you could kind of work that out, or that could be it. If the one who soothes would get a raging buff, which is going to really make you want to take soothe classes during that week. But I mean, like I said, I'm just spitballing here, but the idea is pretty solid when you start to think about it. Because one of the fun thing about Mythic Plus is its replayability. It really, really is, right? What if when you kill an inspired mob, it drops an inspiring orb that can inspire one of your players for 5 or 6 seconds, right, on the ground. And when the player picks it up, you all can't be stunned or CC'd or anything, and you're kind of like immune to the same inspiring things as the other ones for a little while. This could help you with certain mechanics in dungeons and things like that. These sort of Kiss Curse affixes, and they don't have to be big. Like I said, the one on Necrotic, allowing elite enemies that are like, you know, the really elite enemies that can't be CC'd or slowed or anything, just to be snared and slowed, that would be huge for the game. That would make me really think about how I'm pulling around Necrotic, because now I can want to pull aggressively because these guys can be slowed and I can kite and get away, but at the same time I have to watch my Necrotic stacks, right? So you've got these two things of, I want to do this, but I gotta watch this. Where right now with Necrotic, it's just, I don't want to pull big because it's Necrotic. Like, unless I know the DPS can handle it and are going to give me the capabilities of running away, you know, if I know the Druid is going to put down Ursol's Vortex or trees or whatever, if I know I'm going to get a group stun from any class that has a group stun, when my stacks get high, I'm okay with pulling big. I pull big in Necrotic when I run with my organized groups, because I can say, hey, save your stun for this, I'm going to need it to run away. Save your Ursol's Vortex, I'll call for it. But in Pugs, that doesn't always happen. So this could make the Pug experience a lot more enjoyable, right? And you do have a lot of affixes that change from week to week that could be a lot of fun. I honestly could not tell you what to do with Sanguine, because it is weird. But you could definitely have some sort of weird fun with Sanguine, right? There's definitely some ideas out there and people that are, you know, kind of a lot smarter than I am that come up with these types of things. But this one has been on my mind for a little while, and that has been this idea of Kiss Curse. But why not apply it to your day-to-day run-of-the-mill affixes, where it's just these small little buffs? Doesn't need to be big, but it interacts with the affix, and it really kind of gets you into the thought process of, okay, how do I deal with this? And how do I deal with this in the best way that we can get the most amount of buff, right? Because right now, if you take Inspired, as many times as possible, when you come up to an Inspired mob, you're trying to CC it away and pull from. But if it drops an orb, or whatever have you not, that inspires the party for 5 seconds, or whatever have you not, you're rethinking that pull now. You kind of want to bring it in. But when do you want to bring it in? Because some of these mobs hurt. You want to kick Rebellious Fist. But if you could not be CC'd at all by certain stuns and certain weird effects, or, you know, anything like that, and maybe Inspiring would increase cast speed and attack speed for 5 seconds as well. Just give that little bonus, right? Just a little something for everyone. But there's definitely some options there that we can work with and have fun. Maybe when a mob, bolstering, like when a mob reaches 5 bolstering and you kill it, you gain a movement speed buff for 20 seconds or whatever have you not. But it requires X amount of bolstering things to die, right? So you don't just get it on every single kill, but requires you to actually pull a little bit bigger and actually bolster a mob way more than what you're probably used to, right? Because if something's bolstered 6 times over, the tank has to start pulling defensives. But if you can plan around that and be like, all right, guys, we're going to bolster this guy 6 times over, so we need this one, this one, this one, this one, this one dead, you're starting to think a lot more creatively about your pulls in dungeons, right? A lot of fun there. These are just some ideas I was spitballing out. What do you guys think? Leave that down in the comment section down below. I would really like to see some changes to the affix system in Mythic Plus, and I think I've discussed everything that I wanted to discuss here in enough detail that it kind of works out. Taking the things that I have in mind, what do you think? You know, am I right? Am I wrong? Who cares? Let's go. Let's have that discussion. It is purely opinionated and 100% subjective. So, that is what it is. I hope you guys are enjoying your day. Happy tanking, and I hope you guys are excited for Dragonflight as much as I am.